died yesterday in his last car crash. During your friendship, he had rehearsed his death in many crashes, but this was his only true accident. Driven on a collision course towards the limousine of the film actress, his car jumped the rails of the London airport flyover and plunged through the roof of a bus filled with airline passengers. The crushed bodies of packaged tourists, like a hemorrhage of the sun, lay still across the vinyl seats when I pushed my way through the police engineers an hour later. Holding the arm of her chauffeur, the film actress Elizabeth Taylor, with whom Vaughan had dreamed of dying for so many months, stood alone under the revolving ambulance lights. As I knelt over Vaughan's body, she placed a gloved hand to her throat. Film me now, Frog.
It's filming.
Good. Could she see in Vaughan's posture the formula of the death which he had devised for her? During the last weeks of his life, Vaughan thought of nothing else but her death, a coronation of wounds he had staged with the devotion of an early match. The walls of his apartment near the film studios at Shepperton were covered with the photographs he had taken through his zoom lens each morning as she left her hotel in London. From the pedestrian bridges over the westbound motorways, and from the roof of the multi-story car park at the studios. The magnified details of her knees and hands, of the inner surface of her thighs and the left index of her mouth, I uneasily prepared for Vaughan on the copying machine in my office, handing him the packages of prints as if they were the installments of a death warrant. At his apartment, I watched him matching the details of her body with the photographs of grotesque wounds in a textbook of plastic surgery. In the vision of a car crash with the actress, Vaughan was obsessed by many wounds and impacts, by the dying chromium and collapsing bulkheads of their two cars meeting head-on in complex collisions, endlessly repeating in slow-motion films by the identical wounds inflicted on their bodies, by the image of windshield glass frosting around her face as she broke its tinted surface like a death-born Aphrodite, by the compound fractures of their thighs impacted against their handbrake mountings, and above all by the wounds to their genitalia, a uterus pierced by the heraldic beak of the manufacturer's medallion, his semen emptying across the luminescent dials that registered forever the last temperature and fuel levels of the engine. It was only at these times, as he described this last crash to me, that Vaughan was calm. He talked of these wounds and collisions with the erotic tenderness of a long-separated lover. Searching through the photographs in his apartment, he half turned towards me, so that his heavy groin quieted me with its profile and an almost erect penis. He knew that as long as he provoked me with his own sex, which he used casually as if he had discarded forever at any moment, I would never leave him. 10 days ago, as he stole my car from the garage of my apartment house, Vaughan hurled up the concrete ramp an ugly machine sprung from the trap. Yesterday his body lay under the police arc lights at the foot of the flyover, failed by delicate lacework, but blood, the broken postures of his legs and arms, the bloody geometry of his face seemed parodied in photographs of crash injuries that covered the walls of his apartment. I looked down for the last time at his huge groin, gorged with blood, 20 yards away, illuminated by the revolving lamps, the actress hovered on the arm of her chauffeur. Vaughan had dreamed of dying at the moment of her orgasm. Before his death, Vaughan had taken part in many car crashes. As I think of Vaughan, I see him in the stolen cars he drove and damaged, the surfaces of deformed metal and plastic that forever embraced him. 2 months earlier, I found him on the lower deck of the airport flyover after the first rehearsal of his own death. The taxi driver helped. 2 shaken air hostesses from a small car into which Vaughan had collided as he lurched from the mouth of a concealed access road. I ran across to Vaughan. As I ran across to Vaughan, I saw him through the fractured windshield of the white convertible he had taken from the car park of the Oceanic Terminal. His exhausted face, with its scarred mouth, was lit by broken rainbows. I pulled the dented passenger door from its frame. Vaughan sat on the glass-covered seat, studying his own posture with a complacent gaze. His hands, palm upwards at his side, were covered with blood from his injured kneecaps. He examined the vomit staining the lapels of his leather jacket and reached forward to touch the globes of semen clinging to the instrument. I tried to lift him from the car, but his tight buttocks were clamped together as if they had seized whilst forcing the last drops of fluid from his seminal vesicles. On the seat beside him were the torn photographs of the film actress which I had helped reproduce for him that morning at my office. Magnified sections of lip and eyebrow, elbow and cleavage formed a broken mosaic. For Vaughan, the car crash and his own sexuality had made their final marriage. I remember him at night with nervous young women in the crushed rear compartments of abandoned cars in breakers' yards. And their photographs in the postures of uneasy sex acts. Their tight faces and strained thighs were lit by his Polaroid flash like startled survivors of a submarine disaster. These aspiring whores whom Vaughan met in the all-night cafes and supermarkets of London. First cousins, patients illustrated in the surgical textbooks during his study courtships of injured women. Vaughan was obsessed with rumors of gas bacilli infections by facial injuries and genital wounds. Discovered the true significance of the automobile crash, the meaning of whiplash injuries, and rollover the ecstasies of head-on collisions. Together! That's too wide. We visited the road research laboratory 20 miles to the west of London and watched a calibrated vehicles crashing into the cast concrete target blocks. Later in his apartment, Vaughan screamed slow motion. Stand was completely broken, and everything's falling to pieces. This is a car crash. This is fantastic. Okay, just give it to me. Stand back, stand back. Just lie there, everyone. No, we're still going. Still going. That's right. Whoops, I got the head off the microphone. Now the microphone's gone on the floor. We're still going, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't know I've done a lot of this kind of thing. Through Vaughan, I discovered the true significance of the automobile crash, the meaning of whiplash injuries and rollover, the ecstasies of head-on collisions. Together, we visited the Road Research Laboratory 20 miles to the west of London and watched the calibrated vehicles crashing into the concrete target blocks. Vaughan screened slow-motion films of test collisions that he had photographed with his cine camera. Sitting in the darkness and the floor cushions, we watched the silent impacts flicker on the wall above our heads. The repeated sequences of crashing cars first calmed and then aroused me. Cruising along on the motorway, under the yellow glare of the sodium lights, I thought of myself with the controls of these impacting vehicles. I recognised my own car in the car scrapyard. The remains of towing tackle were attached to the front bumper, and the body panels were splashed with oil and dirt. I peered through the windows into the cabin, running my hand over the mud-stained glass. Without thinking, I knelt in front of the car and stared at the crushed fenders and radiating grille. For several minutes I gazed at this wrecked car, reassembling its identity. Terrifying events rolled through my mind on the flattened wheels. What most surprised me was the extent of the damage. During the car accident I had, the hood had climbed over the engine compartment, hiding from me the real extent of the collision. Both front wheels and the engine had been driven back into the driver's section, bowing the floor. Blood still marked the bonnet, streamers of black lace running towards the windshield wiper guts. Minute flecks were splattered across the seat and steering wheel. I thought of the dead man lying on the hood of the car. The blood writhing across the bruised cellulose was a more potent fluid than the semen coil in his testicles. Two policemen crossed the yard with a black Alsatian dog. They watched me hovering around my car, as if they vaguely resembled me to my touching it. Without thinking, I started to climb from my car and sat quietly behind the steering wheel. Helen Remington, the widow of the man who my car killed in our crash, turned from the crashed convertible she had been looking at. She glanced at the bonnet of my car, clearly not recognizing the vehicle which had killed her husband. As she raised her head, she saw me through the empty windshield, sitting behind the deformed steering wheel among the dried bloodstains of her husband. Her strong eyes barely changed their focus, but one hand rose involuntarily to her cheek. She scanned the damage to my car, her attention moving from the impacted radiator grille to the high-rise steering wheel in my hand. And she began a brief scrutiny of myself, inspecting me with a tolerant eye, like a doctor faced with a difficult patient, suffering from a set of largely induced symptoms. Now in a state of proper crash panic, where the actual equipment has joined in the performance piece. We are all of us in a state of disarray. Bear with me. How do I get this thing to change? It seems to have got latched. In each questionnaire, the subject was given a list of celebrities from the worlds of politics, entertainment, sports, crime, science and the arts, and invited to devise an imaginary car crash in which one of them might die. Scanning the list offered, I saw that most of the figures were still alive. A few were dead, some of these in auto crashes. I'm going to finish in a few minutes, I have no sense of what's happening. By contrast, the choice of wounds and death modes available showed all the benefits of an exhaustive and lingering research. Almost every conceivable violent confrontation between the automobile and its occupants was listed. Mechanisms of passenger ejection, the geometry of kneecap and hip joint injury, detonation of passengers' compartments in head-on and rear-end collisions, injuries sustained in accidents at roundabouts, at trunk road intersections, at the junctions between access roads and motorway intersections. The telescoping mechanisms of car bodies and front-end collisions. The abrasive injuries formed in rollovers, the amputation of limbs by roof assemblies and door sills during rollover, facial injuries caused by dashboard and window trim, scalp and cranial injuries caused by rear view mirrors and sun visors, whiplash injuries in rear end collisions, first and second degree burns in accidents involving the rupture and detonation of fuel tanks. Chest injuries caused by steering column impalements, abdominal injuries caused by faulty seatbelt adjustment, second order collisions between front seat and rear seat passengers, cranial and spinal injuries caused by ejection through windshields, degraded injuries to the skull caused by variable windshield glasses, injuries to minors, both children and infants in arms, injuries caused by prosthetic limbs, injuries caused within cars, fitted with invalid controls, the complex self-amplifying injuries of single and double amputees. Lastly came that group of injuries which had clearly most been preoccupied for, genital wounds, caused during automobile accidents. The photographs which illustrated the options available had clearly been assembled with enormous care, drawn from the pages of forensic medical journals and textbooks of plastic surgery, photocopied from internally circulated monographs, extracted from the operating theatre reports stolen during his visits to the hospital. Does everyone want to hear this and we'll conclude? Yeah, we're all in shock. Let us continue, my friends. See if I can get this to work. I don't think it wants to.